All right. So I just want to start off by saying I'm so sorry that I have not been posting regularly like I said that I would when I started this podcast. I'm not in the season of my life where I want to make excuses for myself because I can name a million reasons as to why I haven't posted. But I will say that the main reason that I have not posted is because I've actually recorded this video probably 5 times, four at least that I can think of, but it might have been a fifth time. I don't know. I just know I kept recording it. And then every time I go to look back at the video to edit it, the words coming out of my mouth didn't match with the audio. It was like it was delayed. And part of me wanted to, just publish the video anyway. But me being just a perfectionist, and there's nothing about this podcast right now is an image of what I actually want it to look like. But the reason that I am starting this podcast right now at this time in my life is because I want it to be raw. I want it to be like, I don't have the fancy setup, I don't have the studio, I don't have the fancy microphones, I don't have all of the different things that I would like to, the cute little background. I'm not starting out this podcast that way, and that is for a reason, because I want to really really show everything in the most authentic way possible pertaining to my life right now. So I did record this video multiple times, and the actual video did not match up with the words. And even though everything is pretty much raw and unfiltered, I thought that would be a little bit crazy to post a video where my mouth is delayed. So I wasn't comfortable with that. So I would go to redo it, and then it would have the same outcome. I don't know. I think that I was using a different like app to record versus just the regular camera app. And so now I'm using the regular camera app to record on this phone. And I think that will be fine. I don't know why I used a different app, but I do think that has something to do with why everything was delayed. So prayerfully, everything will come out the way that it needs to. The very last video that I recorded of this video, the words matched, everything was fine, but my microphones died halfway through. And once again, just another situation where I didn't want to post that video because of the audio. So I'm just wanting to say that after all of that, whatever this video comes out to be, if my words don't match my mouth, if the microphones, stall out halfway through the video, like, it is what it is. I have to publish this, because what ends up happening is it creates this trickle effect of like, okay, I didn't get that video done. And so in my mind, I start to kind of like not give up, because I'm not in this mindset of giving up right now. It's just more so of like, okay, I'll put it off until later. I'll do it tomorrow, and then tomorrow turns into a week, and then next thing you know, it's 2 weeks, and I don't even know how long it's been, probably a few weeks. And like I said, I don't want to make excuses. That's not something that I'm, you know, doing right now at this point in time in my life. I don't want to make excuses, not for myself, and it's just not going to be something that gets in my way right now. But that's what happened, and I'm going to do everything that I can to prevent that from happening in the future. It's all a learning process for me. I've started and stopped YouTube multiple times in years, and so I'm aware of all the mishaps and different things that can happen. In the past, I would allow something like this to really discourage me, and I probably would let it go and not pick it back up for another year. In this case, I will not allow that. I have an assignment, I have a goal, I have a story to tell, and I really, really want to give that to you. So in this video, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the shift that happened for me mentally, and the things that started to occur in my life as far as signs that allowed me to make the shift happen and allow me to align with what was happening in my life, what is happening in my life. So I'm going to start with, at the beginning of 2026, our current year, I had this really, really deep knowing that something was about to happen financially for me. I'm not sure where it came from, because every year I always have this like feeling of like, oh, this is going to be a better year. This is going to be, awesome year. This is going to be the year that I really step into my money bag, all of these things. And this wasn't that though. This felt deep, like almost like a very strong like knowing that money was going to be changing for me. Like my money situation, my financial situation would change dramatically this year. And so I just kind of started to feel it, and I started to say it out loud to myself like, this is going to be a money year for me. This is going to be the year that things change for me financially. That meant, for me, I'm a very obvious person when it comes to, I understand logical things. What that meant for me is that money wasn't just going to fall out of the sky. Like I wasn't just going to hit the lottery. It wasn't going to be magic money. I love to call money that comes out of nowhere magic money. I knew it wasn't going to be magic money. I knew it was going to be money that I had to work for. So with that, I started to think of different things that I could do that was going to allow this money to flow. You know, and so that was one thing that kind of started to happen for me, and it was just so deep and so strong. And then I started to, I was doing Uber. I still do Uber. As I was doing Uber, I started to like listen to different podcasts. And it initially, when I first started doing Uber, I was listening to music all the time, all day long. Like, never thought I would ever get tired of music, but I got tired of music. And so after I started to get tired of music, I got on YouTube and I started listening to podcasts. Um, I actually was watching Love is Blind, I think, at first while I drive. And then a customer got in and kind of fussed at me because they're like, that's not safe. And I understand where they're coming from, even though for me, it's not like I'm driving and looking directly at the episode. It's kind of just like background noise. I'm just kind of listening to what's happening. But I don't want people to feel uncomfortable or feel like, I'm not taking their lives seriously as I take them to their destination. So I was like, okay, no more. Love is Blind. So then I started to listen to podcasts, hoping that they weren't going to trip about the podcast, and no one ever did. But as I listened to the podcast, I started to get into a lot of mental health podcasts. Some of the people that I would listen to is Jay Shetty, Lewis Howes, Mel Robbins, Tony Robbins, all these great life coach, mental health people, like just amazing, amazing people. I started to listen to them, and one of the things that I started to hear repeatedly was in order to be creative, you cannot be in survival mode. You cannot be in suffering. And so I was like, okay, I understand that. I've been hearing that for a long, long time. Like, in order for me to be creative, I cannot be in survival mode. But how do you get out of survival mode and to build a life that you need? You have to be able to be creative to do that, because that's what everything is. Whether you open a business, whether you I don't know, go to college, whether however it is that you earn your living, make a career for yourself, it takes some level of creativity. You have to kind of like sit and have like some like a powwow session where you just kind of like come up with all the different things that you could do. And I me being in such a like extreme level of survival mode, that just seemed so impossible. So then I started looking up, information on how to get out of survival mode. Like physically, like I know that it's a thing. Like I know people can physically get out of survival mode, like it'll be just a matter of time before I find a place, or just a matter of time before, you know, I have a vehicle of my own, or, whatever. All those things kind of fall into place eventually. They always have for me. But I wanted it to be different this time. So I was just like, what is it that I can do to make sure that this time is different? And just out of nowhere, I just got this deep knowing of like, okay, you need to change, you need to regulate your nervous system. So I saw a video where it says, okay, in order to kind of get out of survival mode, or at least begin to process, you have to regulate your nervous system. So I was like, okay, well, how do I do that? So I started looking at videos on that. And then I saw that they were talking about, you should walk, you should do, practice grounding, like walking barefooted. You need to meditate, maybe some breath work, spend time in nature, all of these things. And I'm like, okay, I've heard these things before. Like, one of my favorite activities to do when I feel overwhelmed or stressed or anxious is to walk. And it is an immediate healer. Like, I get instant results. I can go outside for 30 minutes, walk around the block, and I'm fine, like, feel so much better. And I really never knew the science behind that. I just knew that that was something that worked for me. So I was like, okay, maybe I need to do more of that. So then, as I started to watch more videos, I just started to hear so much more on meditation and breath work and things like that. So then I was like, oh, that's something that I haven't incorporated into, my life. Like, I'm not meditating. I've done it before, and I did like how I felt. I did yoga once before too, and I loved how I felt. So I'm just like thinking about the times that I did do these things and how it made me feel. And I was like, yeah, I actually felt amazing after I did yoga. I actually felt amazing after I did meditation, and practice my breathing. All of those things, they really do take you out of this like stressful state. So I was like, okay, I'm going to start incorporating those things into my life. So that was one of the things that I started to kind of learn as I was driving. And then one of the other things that started to happen was I started to see fives everywhere. I'm not a numbers person. I've never been into like numerology or like, number life path signs, things like that. I've just never looked into that kind of stuff. Um, Nothing against it. I just never got into it. But I could not ignore that I was seeing fives at every single gas pump. Now, mind you, I drive Uber, so I stop at the gas station maybe twice a day, depending on how much I put in my tank. And every single time that I would stop, it would be five. And I wasn't just pulling into the pump, I'm just pulling in, not even paying the numbers any attention. And then when I go to look up at the number while I'm pumping, and it says five, and I'm like, oh, five, okay. And then I think it had happened multiple times, probably like 10 times. Probably by the 10th time, I pulled up into the gas station. I go into the inside because I wanted to grab something from inside of the gas station. Grab my little item, go up to the front to go to pay. And then he said, what number are you? And I was like, shoot, I forgot to look at the number. 1 second, let me go check real quick. I go to look, it's five. So at that point, I'm like, okay, maybe I need to look into this. And what's crazy? I've always been such a scary person that I never wanted to look into anything. I'm one of those people, like, I could have a bad dreams and I don't want it to be interpreted. I could hear from God and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to hear from God. Or I could, I've never wanted to see angels or any supernatural thing. Like, I've always just been a scary person because I just always felt like if these things are showing up in my life or certain signs, that it could be telling me something that I don't want to hear. I've always like had that thought. And so, at this point, I was just like, I've never seen this many fives in my life within a few weeks. That has to mean something. So let me look this up. I asked ChatGPT, and she basically was just like, oh, you know, seeing fives means this. This is what the number five represents. This is what it means. And I don't remember exactly what I was told, but it said something about movement. Because you're in movement constantly and you're seeing fives, this is a sign that the way that you make money is going to change soon. So I love that answer. I was like, okay, great. Like, that is once again a sign from God saying that, this path that I am on to discover how I'm gonna, create new income for my family, that's confirmation of that. Okay, so that was the third thing. Okay, and so the last thing that happened is, as I mentioned before, I was watching podcasts. I was watching podcasts, multiple podcasts as I drive, and I came across a podcast. I don't remember the name of the fella, but he mentioned your thoughts being something that creates your reality. And, when I first heard that idea, I was like, okay, I've heard that before. Don't speak things into existence. Don't say things that, are negative. Don't think negative things. You don't want to like put that into fruition. So I've heard that, but they really, really wanted. It was, I think, Joe Dispenza I don't know if he was the first video that I watched, but that was one of the first videos that I watched. But if you know anything about Joe Dispenza, he talks a lot about your thoughts creating energy, and how, and he mostly speaks on the healing aspect of it, how your thoughts create energy, and it causes so much suffering, that ultimately the suffering can lead to disease. And so as I'm listening to this, I'm applying it to my own life, and I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, I've always thought that I was a positive person. Like, I've always thought that. I'm one of the most positive people I know. But then when I realized like that I'm not that positive, when I really, really deep dive and think about the things that I've said to myself and thought about myself over the course of the years, from the time I was probably like 19 years old, it just really blew my mind. It's like, I'm not that positive. I don't even want to get emotional. The things that I've said to myself, I really hate when people cry online. I really, really don't like it. But here I am crying online because it really just blows my mind when I think about the things that I've thought about myself. And it has been so negative. And a lot of it has been based on the things that um, I think that people think of me. So I'm just gonna say this quote. I keep hearing it from Jay Shetty, and I don't know where he got the quote from. He does say it, and he does say who he got it from, but I don't remember. But the quote that I hear him say a lot is, hopefully I get this right: "You are not who you think you are. You are not who they think you are. You are who you think that they think you are." And I understood that right away, meaning that you don't actually know what they think of you. And you might think something very highly of yourself. I've always thought very highly of myself. Always. I always thought I was a confident person. But when I walk into a room, I become small. I become small. And even though I might be the best dressed in the room, because I always love to dress and be the best dressed in the room, and I know it, and all eyes are on me, I still feel the smallest. I feel the less accomplished. I feel the least successful. And I struggle with conversations. I'm such an awkward person. I struggle with conversations because I'm like, I don't want to talk to people because I have nothing smart to say. And then when I would be really, really quiet, then I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm so awkward. People try to have a conversation with me. I don't know how to conversate back. And that's not who I am. But that's who I become when I'm in rooms with other people. And I've never really cared about what people think about me either. I thought that I didn't. But when I'm in a public space with people, in that moment I actually do care, because I'm constantly thinking about what are they thinking right now? What do I look like? What are their thoughts on me right now? Like, what? And then I start to think what they're thinking. And what they're thinking may not have anything to do with what's actually going on in my brain. But that's how I feel. So some of the things that I would think that they would think is that she's dumb. She doesn't know how to have a conversation. She's afraid of people. She's so awkward. This girl's weird. She's old. She's uncomfortable to be around. And they could not be thinking any of those things. But I thought that. So therefore, I adjusted my personality and who I am based on thoughts that I created in my head. And I've been doing things like that for years. And when I was in my 20s, you know, my life was definitely still hard. I think that my thoughts was at that time around my family circumstances, what I come from, who I come from. You know, my family not being a rich family, so my thoughts was around that, and so I think therefore, like, all of my 20s was a struggle because I thought that that's what I was and that's where I came from. Even though I wanted more for myself, I've always wanted more for myself, but I didn't know how to make that connection and actually make the change to happen. I've tried multiple times, but it just wasn't connecting. And so as I really started to think about this thing, like, I had to start writing down all of the things that I have been saying to myself over the course of the past 20 years that was not positive, because this has been something that has been really just um developing over time to create this outcome of me being 43 and this really, for lack of a better word, fucked up situation. Like, really fucked up situation with my kids. And through that, because I've been doing the work to change how I feel and what I think about myself, um, everything is aligning for me. At this point in time in my life, my mind feels clear. I have so much more clarity. I have so much more compassion for the people around me. Despite me being in a really messed up situation, I'm able to still show love, not anger, not bitterness, not hate, because those are things that I felt when I'm going through things. When I'm going through, I'm like, why me? You know, this is messed up. I don't deserve this. And because I felt so sorry for myself, I was outputting um, this negative energy to people I love and care about because I was so upset with things not being the way that I needed it to be. And so now that has completely changed. I have nothing but love for everyone, everybody, even the bad people. I just love everyone. And the most important thing that I've learned through the things that I've been learning is that um, I had to forgive myself. I had to forgive myself for all of the negative thoughts that I've been thinking about myself. And one of the things that I've learned as a way to really do that, some people take a baby picture of themselves and they pin it somewhere and they talk to the baby picture, talk to that little girl, that little boy. I didn't do that. I just had the image in my. I have a specific picture that I just love of myself. I think I was in like second or third grade in that photo. Just so cute, so innocent. Had no idea how hard things was gonna get for herself, but I had not a care in the world. I was just a bouncy, beautiful baby girl, and I have that image in my mind. And I talk to her, and I tell her sorry. I have a conversation with her. You know, I say things like, life got really hard for you. You didn't know any better. Um, you are being sent down paths that you don't understand. But if you just hold out and stay strong, um, it will all make sense. And I'm at a period in my life where everything in my life is still the same, still broke, still living in an Airbnb, still driving Uber. And we are in June, late June. And so my change of income around money, has not happened yet, but I know that it has not happened because I have not put in the work to make that happen. So, um, I want to make sure that I do that for myself. And I don't only want to do this for me, but I really, 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 really want to make sure that I'm helping others through this process. Like, it is so important for me to share my story. Um, and it's even more important for me to share what I've learned, what I'm learning, so that I can continue to change my story, so that everyone else who is watching this video will learn that too or resonate with it. So I'm going to conclude this video because I'm a hot mess right now and I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for just being emotional on camera and I'm a hot mess. I'm going to try to record another one here soon because I got to catch up. So just bear with me in my emotional state. Let me get myself together and I will be back with another video on Wednesday. So thank you so much for watching, and I really hope that this helps you in some sort of way.